Imagine walking hundreds of miles with one dream in your heart. You leave behind your family, your home, and everything familiar because you believe that reaching a sacred place will change your life forever. Around you are thousands of other pilgrims, all praying, singing, and hoping for blessings. But suddenly, the celebration turns into chaos. People begin to scream. The massive crowd pushes forward with unstoppable force. Dust fills the air. Children are separated from their parents. Elderly pilgrims fall to the ground. Within seconds, a peaceful journey becomes a desperate fight to survive. Throughout history, religious pilgrimages have inspired millions. They have brought people together across cultures and generations. Yet these sacred journeys have also witnessed some of the most heartbreaking tragedies ever recorded. This isn't because faith itself is dangerous. Instead, enormous crowds, harsh weather, difficult terrain, disease, and sometimes human mistakes have created disasters that nobody expected. Today, we're exploring the most brutal events that have happened during religious pilgrimages throughout history. These stories remind us that even the holiest journeys can face unimaginable challenges. One of the greatest dangers during any pilgrimage has always been the crowd itself. When hundreds of thousands, or even millions, of people gather in one place, a single moment of panic can become catastrophic. History has recorded numerous deadly crowd crushes during major pilgrimages around the world. Often, these disasters begin with something surprisingly small, a narrow pathway, a fallen bag, someone slipping on the ground, a rumor spreading through the crowd. Within moments, thousands of people continue moving forward without realizing those ahead have stopped. The pressure becomes overwhelming. People aren't usually trampled because others intentionally step on them. Instead, they are trapped so tightly that they cannot breathe. Experts call this crowd compression, and it can become deadly in just minutes. Several pilgrimage disasters over the past century have claimed hundreds, and sometimes over 1,000, lives in a single event. Many victims were elderly worshippers who had spent years saving money for what they believed would be the most meaningful journey of their lives. These heartbreaking incidents forced organizers around the world to rethink crowd safety. Today, many pilgrimage routes use advanced surveillance cameras, trained security teams, timed entry systems, and improved emergency planning to reduce these risks. Even so, managing millions of people moving together remains one of the greatest logistical challenges on Earth. Not every tragedy during a pilgrimage is caused by people. Sometimes, nature itself becomes the greatest enemy. Many sacred sites are located in mountains, deserts, forests, or remote regions where weather can change without warning. Blazing heat has become one of the deadliest threats. Temperatures above 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius, place enormous stress on the human body, especially for elderly pilgrims walking long distances. Heat exhaustion can quickly become heat stroke, a life-threatening emergency if medical treatment is delayed. Throughout history, extreme temperatures have claimed countless lives during religious journeys. Heavy rain creates another danger. Mountain paths become slippery. Bridges collapse. Fast-moving rivers suddenly flood. Entire groups of pilgrims have been trapped by landslides or flash floods after unexpected storms. In some regions, avalanches have buried ancient pilgrimage routes beneath snow and ice. Long before modern weather forecasting existed, travelers often had little warning. Many simply disappeared into mountains, deserts, or forests, never reaching their destination. These harsh conditions remind us how difficult ancient pilgrimages truly were. Unlike today's travelers, many pilgrims walked for weeks or months. carrying only simple supplies, relying entirely on strangers for food, water, and shelter. For them, completing the journey often required extraordinary courage. Large gatherings have always created another invisible threat: disease. Before modern medicine, pilgrims from distant regions brought different illnesses with them. When thousands gathered in crowded camps or shared limited water supplies, diseases spread rapidly. Outbreaks of cholera, plague, influenza, and other infectious diseases sometimes followed major religious gatherings. In earlier centuries, medical knowledge was limited, and many people didn't understand how infections spread. A single outbreak could affect entire communities long after pilgrims returned home. History also records darker moments caused by human conflict. Some pilgrimage routes pass through dangerous territories controlled by bandits or rival armies. Travelers carrying food, money, or valuable belongings became easy targets. Robbery was common. Violence sometimes followed. Wars occasionally interrupted sacred journeys altogether. Entire pilgrimage routes became battlefields where peaceful travelers found themselves caught between opposing forces. Political tensions have also affected religious gatherings throughout history. At times, disagreements between rulers or rival groups created dangerous situations for pilgrims who simply wished to worship in peace. Despite these risks, millions continued making these journeys year after year. Their faith often proved stronger than fear. The tragedies of religious pilgrimages have shaped history. Each disaster has taught valuable lessons about safety, planning, and protecting human life. Today, many of the world's largest pilgrimages rely on sophisticated technology. Crowd monitoring systems track movement in real time. Medical teams are stationed along major routes. Emergency helicopters stand ready. Engineers design wider bridges and safer pathways. Volunteers provide water, food, and guidance for exhausted travelers. Although no system can eliminate every risk, modern planning has saved countless lives. Yet perhaps the greatest lesson comes from the pilgrims themselves. Delegation after generation. People have continued these sacred journeys despite knowing the hardships that may await. Not because they ignored danger, but because faith gave them hope. For many, a pilgrimage is more than reaching a destination. It is about sacrifice, patience, humility, and the belief that every difficult step brings them closer to something greater than themselves. The brutal events we've explored today are heartbreaking chapters in human history. They remind us of the incredible responsibility involved in protecting large gatherings and the resilience of people driven by faith. If this story taught you something new, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone interested in history. And remember, behind every pilgrimage is not just a journey across the land, but a journey of the human spirit. One of the most mysterious and heartbreaking pilgrimage stories dates back to the year 1212. According to medieval accounts, thousands of young people, many of them children and teenagers, believed they had been chosen by God to peacefully reclaim the Holy Land. They thought that their faith alone would succeed where armies had failed. Without weapons, they began an incredible journey across Europe. Many left home without enough food, money, or supplies. As they traveled, hunger, disease, and exhaustion took a terrible toll. Some turned back, but many continued, believing a miracle awaited them. Historical records differ on exactly what happened next. Some accounts say many children never reached the Mediterranean. Others claim that dishonest merchants promised them free passage by sea, but instead sold many into slavery in North Africa. Modern historians debate how much of this story is literal and how much has been shaped by legend. However, there is little doubt that many young pilgrims suffered greatly during these journeys. The Children's Crusade remains a powerful reminder that hope without preparation can lead to devastating consequences. Not every pilgrimage was threatened by nature or accidents. Sometimes, the greatest danger came from other people. Throughout history, important pilgrimage routes often crossed territories controlled by rival kingdoms, bandits, or invading armies. Pilgrims usually carried food, clothing, and enough money to complete their journey, making them attractive targets for thieves. Some groups were robbed before reaching their destination. Others were attacked while camping overnight. During periods of war, peaceful travelers occasionally found themselves trapped between fighting armies. Entire roads that had once welcomed pilgrims became dangerous front lines. Historical records from Europe, the Middle East, and Asia describe pilgrims who disappeared along these routes, while others survived only because local villages offered shelter and protection. Yet these dangers rarely stopped future pilgrims. Year after year, new travelers continued their journeys, trusting both their faith and the kindness of strangers they met along the way. Long before hospitals, vaccines, and modern sanitation, one invisible enemy followed many pilgrims wherever they went: disease. When tens of thousands of people gathered together, illnesses spread quickly. Pilgrims often shared water sources, slept in crowded shelters, and traveled side by side for weeks. If one person became sick, many others could become infected before anyone realized what was happening. During the 19th century, outbreaks of cholera spread through several major pilgrimage routes, claiming thousands of lives. Other diseases, such as smallpox, influenza, and plague, also appeared at different times in history. Many pilgrims had no access to doctors. Cybele dehydration could become deadly. Minor infections could become fatal. These tragedies eventually encouraged governments and religious authorities to improve sanitation, provide clean drinking water, establish medical checkpoints, and introduce quarantine measures when necessary. Many of the public health systems used during today's large gatherings were shaped by lessons learned from these painful experiences. Today's religious pilgrimages remain among the largest gatherings on Earth, but they are also far safer than they were centuries ago. Engineers carefully design bridges, roads, and walkways to handle enormous crowds. Artificial intelligence helps monitor crowd movement. Thousands of surveillance cameras watch for dangerous congestion before it becomes an emergency. Medical helicopters stand ready to transport critically ill patients. Doctors, nurses, paramedics, and thousands of volunteers work around the clock. Weather forecasts are monitored constantly. Emergency alerts can be sent instantly to pilgrims' phones in many locations. Water stations, cooling areas, and multilingual guides help visitors stay safe. Every improvement has one purpose: to ensure that people can complete their spiritual journey and return home safely. While accidents can still happen, modern planning has dramatically reduced many of the risks that once claimed countless lives. Looking back across history, it's easy to focus only on the disasters. But that isn't the whole story. For every tragedy, there have been millions of successful pilgrimages. People from every background have walked together in peace, helping strangers, sharing food, offering comfort, and supporting one another through difficult conditions. The brutal events we've explored today are reminders of both human vulnerability and human resilience. They show how quickly unexpected challenges can arise when enormous crowds gather. But they also reveal something remarkable. Even after centuries of hardship, wars, disease, natural disasters, and heartbreaking losses, people continue making these sacred journeys. Their determination reflects a belief that some journeys are worth every sacrifice. Today, thanks to better planning, medical care, engineering, and international cooperation, pilgrims are safer than ever before. History's painful lessons have helped protect future generations. And perhaps that is the greatest legacy of these tragedies. Not fear, but progress. If you enjoyed this journey through history, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments which historical event surprised you the most. Until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.